Well, here we are again, folks. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. So proud to be with you today. Ambition. Ambition can be a good thing. It also can be a bad thing. So we have to be careful. Evil condemned. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. How many of us have said, I've worked all my life, I've worked hard. And why is it that right down the street I have a neighbor that's worked less hard than me, actually made less money, and he's in this beautiful house, and I'm in this old shack? That's what coveting is. Coveting your neighbor's house. And the Bible said, do not do that. Do not covet your neighbor's house. Do not covet. Let's see what he says. This is in Exodus 20 and 17, this is one of the 10 Commandments. And thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. How many of us have looked over and seen a woman that perhaps was more attractive than our wife even was? But I can tell you this. I've seen a man leave a good woman and pick up a pretty woman and be bid his own soul. Because the woman he left was the woman God put him with. That was the woman for him. If you're with a woman, you married a woman and you're with her, and you're having problems, figure it out. Figure it out. I haven't got the prettiest woman on earth, but I got the best woman on earth for me. To me, she's the most beautiful woman on the earth. I can be coming out of the bedroom in the morning, early. I'm talking about early. I'm talking about 5 o'clock or so, and she's walking into the bedroom with clothes that she folded, took out of the dryer, and folded up, and she's putting them away. The floors are shiny clean. The house smells good. The house is took care of. The dishes are always washed. Never, but never, never wake up to dirty dishes. The dishes are always clean. The sink's clean. The house is prepared so if Jesus were to come tonight and walk in our house, he would feel at home. Is there anything in my house I would have to move or get rid of if Jesus came? Not one single solitary thing. Nothing. Everything in this house would be accepted by Jesus. I pray that it would. And I try to keep it that way. So we need to be very careful that we follow him. And do not covet our neighbor's house, our neighbor's wife, or his manservant. We have somebody working for us that we say, man, I wish that man working for me was like that guy over there. That guy that works for him, I mean, he works day and night, cheap. And I don't have him. And so, be careful, you don't want his servant, nor his maidservant. Perhaps you don't have a maid. You say, boy, I'd like to have that maidservant he's got. My wife wouldn't have to do anything. She'd do it all. Well, I got news for you. That's what your wife is for. She's doing what she's supposed to do if you're doing what you're supposed to do, providing a good home, providing love, providing security, providing a good husband act, like saying, hey, babe, you are the best. You're a champion. And my wife is a champion. She is the best. I tromped all over this United States to get back down to where this woman was. You say, do you believe this was the woman God wanted you to have? Absolutely. Positive, 100%. I travel all over the United States, Texas, all around, and back into Louisiana and up into Connecticut, and I got off the ship in Norfolk, Virginia. Went to New Hampshire, traveled from New Hampshire to Maine, where this woman lived. She was a girl then, in another town. I became the boss of the place, and she ended up being my wife. You say, what about all that? Well, every inch of that was designed by God, even though I was not following God. I was a heathen of heathens, yet God was watching out for me. He knew what He wanted from me later on in life, which is now. So be careful. Nor his ox. So you got you an old broke down ox. Does that ox do what you need it to do? Don't be looking at another man's ox. You take care of the one you got. You just use the one you got. Today when we talk about an ox, we see our neighbor over there with a 4-wheel drive, jacked up with big tires on it, Duramax, and we're driving a little Toyota pickup. The question is does the Toyota pickup do what you need? Yes, it does, very well. And that's me. I've got the little Toyota pickup, and my neighbor's got the big Duramax. Who's the better off? Neither one. They're both just as good. He needs the Duramax for what he does. You need the Toyota for what you do. Is it enough? Yes, it's enough. Well, if it's enough, don't worry about it. I heard a preacher preaching last week, Dr. Jack Hiles. And Lord put this on his account. And Dr. Hiles said he was probably one of the lowest paid preachers in the circuit that he ran in. But he didn't need any more. He didn't want more money. He was making a very menial amount compared to the others around him that had churches his size. One day he had a problem with his old Plymouth. And he kind of, under his breath said, God, I'd like to have a new car. He said he got home that day, the phone rang. And the man said, you don't know me and I don't know you. He said, I'm an Oldsmobile dealer in another state. But God's laid on my heart to tell you to come up here and pick any Oldsmobile on the lot that you want, and it's yours. He said he began to laugh, and he laughed, and he laughed, and he laughed, and the guy on the other end of the phone wasn't too pleased about this. So what's the problem? What is the matter? What are you laughing about? He said, I'll tell you what, you can keep your Oldsmobile because I don't need it. I just wanted to know if I could have one if I wanted it, and if I wanted one, God would give it to me, and I don't need it. He said, I'm going to keep driving my old Plymouth. This was a man that didn't want to be above his parishioners. He wanted to be on the same keel his parishioners was on. He did not want preeminence over his people. He did not need preeminence over his people. I have seen what it does to a congregation when a preacher drives a car better than anybody in his church. It is probably one of the biggest drawbacks I've ever seen a preacher have when he has a car too good. He'd be better off driving an old wreck like that preacher. He said, you know, Brother Hiles said that he could look down through the floorboard and see the road going by as he was going down the road. But he was happy with that old Plymouth. He said, if I'm happy with it, why would I want to change? And do you know, I understand his principle. He would have been one miserable man in a brand new Buick. Because he didn't belong in a brand new Buick. That wouldn't have made him happy. If anything, that would have been not a good thing for him. And he knew that. So he refused that. All right, let's see. or thy neighbor's ass. That's the animal that does the plowing. Nor anything that belongs to thy neighbor. Anything that is thy neighbor's, do not covet it. Do not covet it. Hey, I see it. I see it. I see it. I see it all the time. I see a man coveting what he sees his neighbor have. His neighbor got a Sea-Doo. He said, man, he's doing better than me. I'm gonna prove to him. I'm gonna show him something. So he goes out and he gets a Sea-Doo on the credit. It's more than he can handle. In a couple of weeks, the man's got a fishing boat. So the neighbor goes out and he said, I'm going to get me a fishing boat too. He ain't going to beat me. I'm going to get me a fishing boat. So he goes out and maxes out another car and gets him a fishing boat. Next thing you know, the guy's got a camper in his yard. Wow, there goes the Sunday church. It's gone out the window. Between the boat, the Sea-Doo, and the camper, there's no time for church. There's no time for God. It's all about pleasure. But that pleasure soon comes to an end when he's got to pay for it. And I have visited these very exact same people I just talked about. Two families. One has the ability to buy that stuff and does, but he loses his marriage. The next one doesn't have the ability to buy it and he does, and he loses his marriage. And both of them lose their marriage, even though both of them look like they were doing well. Looking like you're doing well and actually doing well is two different things. Now this man I just mentioned, Jack Howes, he knew what doing well was. That was living within his means, enjoying what he had, not wanting any more. And that was it. He didn't care that more than half of the people in his church drove a better vehicle than he did. He didn't care that more than half his church lived in a better house than he did. He was happy with what he had. So what anybody else had didn't matter. I can tell you this right now. You would not be happy in a 10-room mansion if you've been living in a 3-bedroom house. In the first place, you got the upkeep. The second place, you got the payment. And the third place, would your family be happy in it? And another thing is, in that mansion, you're going to be in a different environment. You're a man that's been over here in this class of people. And now you moved up to this class. Do you know what? You don't fit in that class. You fit good in the class you were in. Had you stayed there, you would be happy. But no, you got up in this other class. Now you got a big problem. You don't quite have the finances it would take so that you would look like that class. So that you could drive a Mercedes-Benz. And you could park a Rolls-Royce in the yard. You're way above your class. The next thing you know, your wealthy neighbors are talking about, did you hear about that guy that moved in down the street? He ended up losing everything he had because he couldn't keep up with it. Listen, don't let the world's goods rob you from being happy. You live the way you can live, as happy as you can live. There was a guy named Akin in the Bible. God said to the people, do not take one thing of spoil from that bunch of Amalekites. When you go down there against the Amalekites, you do not take one single solitary thing. And Achan went in there and he saw a little bar of silver. He saw a little bar of gold. He saw a goodly garment. He said, I want these. I got to have these. Nobody will know it. Nobody will know anything about it. He said, I can put these under my robe, put this gold and silver in my pockets, and I can get onto the tent. And he did. He dug a hole. And he buried that gold down in that hole a little further. Then he put some dirt over it. Then he put the silver in there. Then he covered it over. Then he took the goodly garment and covered it over by some old clothes, some old blankets. It said, nobody will ever know. I'm a rich man in a poor place. God came on the scene. And he said, I believe it was to Joshua, somebody has sinned in this camp. And you're going to fail in the next battle. So they went on the next battle and they failed. So Joshua goes to hunting. Who's the culprit? When he comes to Achan's tent, he finds out Achan's the culprit. He says, why have you sinned against God and the nation? He said, because you have taken that which God said not to take, you have brought curse on the whole nation. And God said to Achan, because of what you've done, we're going to have to kill you and all your family. And they took Achan, all his relatives, his whole family, and killed them all. And God blessed Israel again, and they walked straight after that. What a lesson to learn, and what a hard way to learn it. I've seen it. I've seen the Achans. I have seen, hey, I've been one. I've been an Akin. I have carried something that didn't belong to me, which is stealing away back years ago. And know what being a thief was like before I got saved. And so you got to be careful. You don't look at a goodly garment, or look at something and say, hey, I could take that. Nobody will know the difference. God will know it. So be careful. So Achan's lust, from whence cometh wars and fighting, rumors, this comes from wanting something that's not yours. Come they not hence even of your lust, that war in your members? Ye lust and have not, ye kill and desire to have, you cannot obtain, ye fight and war, and yet ye have not, because you ask not. James 4, 1 and 2. If you want something, ask God for it. Make sure when you ask God for it, it's going to prosper you spiritually, not just physically. You can prosper physically and kill yourself spiritually. You need to be careful of that. So you don't want to take on something that's not profitable. What profit if a man win the whole world and lose his own soul? For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Mark 8 and 36. I know men right now. I have some men who are very, very, very good friends of mine who are swapping their own soul for personal gain. Swapping their own soul for personal gain. What a terrible place to be in. Just think. A man with just a little bit and gives the 10% out of his little bit to God is going to have that in heaven forever and forever and forever, and it's going to multiply. And it's going to be counted for him as great, great, great riches. And yet, here's the man stacking up, stacking up, stacking up, stacking up, stacking up, safe after safe full of money. Cash money. Safe's full of it. And when he dies, he has nothing in heaven because he didn't go to heaven. He died and went to hell. And now he can watch somebody take those dollars out from hell. Take those dollars out one at a time and burn them. And burn them. And burn them. And burn them. And flaunt them. And waste them. And he could see that from hell. And every time that man takes one out and throws it down, it ends up down there in hell and makes the fire hotter around him. Wow. And he's the one piled it up. Man. What a terrible place to be. A man would be so much better off to have just a little and be happy with it. So here's a man that gained the whole world and lost his own soul. Where are you today? Are you a man that has much riches, but do not have your soul secured, so that if you died right now, you'd go to heaven? Let me tell you what. 1972, November 5th, 3 o'clock in the morning. The very God that spoke this universe into existence, the very God that hung the sun where it is and the moon for the night, lesser light at night, and the stars, the very God that spoke the light out of the darkness that was on this earth, the very God that made everything that was made, has come to you and I in these last days through his Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit, and said to us, which he said to me 3 o'clock in the morning, November 5th, 72, I will cleanse you. Peter, all you got to do is ask me to save you. I looked up to heaven. I said, God, I'm a sinner. Forgive me of my sin. Come in my heart and save my soul. And he did. Never desired to take another drink from that moment to this. A bigger thing than that, never desired to swear another cuss word from that day to this. Did you have some other things, Brother Peter, in your life that you had to work on with a fever to get rid of them? Yes, I did. I was a champion thief. Very good thief. You know what a good thief is? One who stole all his life and never got caught. The thing about it is, when God caught me, that was a different type of catching. So I had to give up that. Had to give up lying, stealing, cheating. Had to get right with the Lord and get right, humanly speaking. And God saw that it would work. And he delivered me from that place. He delivered me from the place of anger. He delivered me in Psalm 37:8. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. I was a wrath human being. Hey, before I got saved, I was as evil as the devil. And you better not come against me. I might not say much, but you are going to know that you got what I thought you deserved. The results of an angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. Proverbs 29:22. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. James 1:20. Wow. Without sinning, be ye angry, and sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath, Ephesians 4:26. Christ, he looked around about on them with anger, being grieved for the hardness of their heart. Mark 3:5. Was he angry at those people? No. He was angry at the devil because he saw what the devil did in those folks' heart. And he said at one time, "Oh, foolish generation, what has beguiled you to leave these first principles that I showed you? The punishment. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment." Matthew 5:22. We need to be careful that we don't say "raker" or "thou fool" to our brother, because it puts us in a dangerous place. You know, Jesus warned the people of the Antichrist that came. "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." Matthew 24:5. "For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But I have told you before," Matthew 24:24, "you put your trust in me, and I'll take you to the other side. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a great falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, and the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth on the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4. There is going to come a man, perhaps in the very near future, who is going to bring what's considered world peace for a short period of time, 3.5 years. And then the next 3.5 years, all hell's going to break loose, and he's going to show you who he really is. He is the devil reincarnated. But during that period of time, there will be some souls get saved. And they will come out of that great tribulation as martyrs. They will not walk out alive. They will come out as martyrs. And then there will be those that are born in that great tribulation, the 7 years, who will have the opportunity to get saved right at the end of it. And they can get saved. But all those that go into the tribulation, who are not saved, who have heard the word, will not have the opportunity to get saved. They will be cursed unto everlasting darkness. Flame and fire will have them, and they're in their derision. They will be there forever. Those that confess that Jesus came not in the flesh. For many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist. 2 John 7. We have multitudes of Jewish folks, God's special children, who do not believe that Jesus really came to fulfill that scripture that he fulfilled. And therefore, they are cursed to damnation. Would God make that for them. God made that, and they decided to walk in it. So let us be careful where we walk. Let us walk circumspectly to God, my friend. Well, this is Brother Peter. Our 30 minutes is up. This has been Tidbits from the Word. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.